The rain was coming down in silver sheets the night everything changed for Daniel Harper, a single father who had learned to survive one quiet heartbreak at a time. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for the moment he stepped into that small Italian restaurant and became the reason a stranger would one day send a billionaire to his doorstep. Daniel had taken his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, out for pizza to celebrate her perfect score on a spelling quiz. Money was tight. Celebrations usually meant homemade macaroni and a movie from the library. But tonight felt special. As they sat at a corner table, he could feel the usual eyes on him from other couples and families, the ones that silently asked, "Where's the mom?" But he ignored them. He had Lily. That was enough, until a woman across the room caught his attention. She was dressed simply in a beige coat that didn't quite hide the trembling in her hands. Her eyes, dark, intelligent, but rimmed with fear, kept darting toward the man across from her. A man with a clenched jaw, too tight grip on his wine glass, and a voice that carried threats behind every smooth word. Daniel tried to refocus on Lily, who was coloring rats on her menu, but when he heard the woman's sharp inhale, something inside him snapped. The man had grabbed her wrist beneath the table, hard. Daniel didn't think he moved. "Is everything all right here?" he asked, standing beside their table. His tone was calm, but his heart hammered a warning against his ribs. The man glared at him. "Mind your business." But the woman's eyes, pleading and panicked, said otherwise. Lily stood behind Daniel, clutching his hand. He felt her grip and made a choice, one he hoped he'd never regret. "Let her go," he said quietly. The man rose, anger radiating off him, but the restaurant manager and 2 other diners intervened. The woman slipped out from the booth and behind Daniel like a frightened deer. Minutes later, the police arrived, and she was safe. Her name was Elena. She thanked Daniel with a trembling voice, hugged Lily, and then vanished in the back of a police car, promising she would never forget his kindness. He believed her kindness mattered, but he didn't expect anything more. Life went on. 3 days passed. The fridge broke. Lily grew out of her sneakers overnight. His boss cut his hours again. Even so, he held on to hope, reminding himself that small acts of goodness had value even if life didn't immediately reward them. Then, on a quiet Thursday morning, a sleek black car rolled up to his worn-down apartment building. A billionaire's car, absolutely out of place among rusted balconies and cracked parking asphalt. Lily pressed her face to the window. "Daddy, is that a spaceship?" Daniel stepped outside just as the door opened, and a man emerged, tall, poised, dressed in gray tailored perfection. "Mr. Harper?" the man asked. Daniel nodded, nerves prickling beneath his skin. "I'm Adrian Castell," he said. "Elena is my sister." Daniel froze. "Sister? Billionaire? What?" Adrian continued. "She didn't want to intrude on your life, but she insisted I come. She told me what you did, and how you may have saved her from a situation far darker than what you saw." Daniel swallowed hard. "I didn't do anything special." "To us," Adrian replied, "you did everything." He opened the car door, and Daniel's breath hitched when he saw the contents inside: boxes of food, bags of clothes, and toys for Lily, an envelope with documents and a letter, and at the very top, a small velvet pouch. "This is too much," Daniel said immediately, stepping back. "I didn't help her for a reward." "I know," Adrian said softly. "That's exactly why she wants to help you." Daniel hesitated until Adrian added, "It's not charity, it's gratitude, and a chance for all of you to start better." Inside the pouch was a modest necklace with a tiny silver star, a gift from Elena to Lily, with a handwritten note: "For the girl who reminded me kindness still exists. Wear this, and remember you shine brighter than fear." Inside the envelope was something that stole Daniel's breath: a job offer, a real job, with steady hours, full benefits, room to grow, a position Adrian himself had arranged after reviewing Daniel's experience. It wasn't glamorous, but it was dignified and life-changing. Daniel's eyes burned, and for the first time in months, he let the tears fall. He accepted the job. Life didn't magically become perfect. They still had challenges, long nights, the moments of doubt, but slowly, their world shifted. Lily thrived in school. Daniel found pride in his work, and months later Elena visited, healed and smiling in a way he had not seen before. Their friendship grew gently, carefully, naturally. Two people who had escaped different kinds of pain, Finding a quiet understanding, Daniel didn't realize how much his life had changed until one evening, months after the restaurant incident. He found himself setting 2 extra plates on the table without thinking, one for Adrian, who often stopped by with business advice, or a new math puzzle for Lily, and one for Alina, who had slowly woven herself into their routines with the same gentleness she used to speak Lily's name. Life felt warmer now, fuller, as if someone had opened a window in a room he didn't know had been suffocating. But peace never came without tests. The first came in the form of Daniel's old boss calling him unexpectedly. Daniel was now working for Adrian's company, but his old employer accused him of abandoning projects without proper notice. Daniel tried to explain, but the man threatened to smear his reputation in the small local industry. Panic spread through Daniel like wildfire. He had worked so hard to rebuild his life. What if it all fell apart again? Alina came over that night with takeout and found him pacing in the kitchen. She listened, calm and steady, then said, "Let Adrian handle it. You've carried everything alone for so long. Let someone help." It wasn't easy for Daniel to let go of control. Years of single fatherhood had carved the belief that if he didn't handle everything himself, everything would collapse. But he trusted her. Adrian resolved the issue in a single day, not with threats or money, but by exposing Daniel's old boss for his unethical business practices. The man backed down immediately. Daniel realized then that support didn't weaken him. It strengthened him in ways he had never allowed himself to experience. The second challenge came not for Daniel, but for Lily. One afternoon, she came home with her small backpack clutched to her chest, and eyes rimmed in frustrated tears. A group of girls at school had made fun of her thrift store shoes, and the little star necklace she wore daily, the gift from Alina. They called it fake, and they said her dad worked a pity job. Lily tried to ignore it, but the words dug deep. Daniel sat beside her on the couch, heart aching. "Do you know what that necklace means?" he asked. Lily shook her head, wiping her cheeks. "It means someone saw your kindness, your courage. Only someone incredibly special gets a gift like that. And as for your shoes," he tapped them gently, "these helped you run faster than every kid at recess. They're perfect. You're perfect." Later, Alina arrived with a small craft kit and sat with Lily at the table for hours, helping her design tiny star-shaped charms to give her friends at school, not as apologies, as reminders that kindness always outshines cruelty. The next day, the teasing stopped. In fact, a few girls asked to join Lily at lunch. Lily had faced hurt, but she turned it into something brighter. Daniel saw himself in her in that moment, and he felt proud. The third challenge came quietly and unexpectedly through Alina. Though she never spoke much about the man in the restaurant, his shadow still lingered. One evening she froze at the sound of raised voices from a neighboring apartment. Her hands shook, her breath hitched. Daniel found her standing rigid in the hallway, eyes glassy with old fear. He gently closed the door, blocking out the noise. "You're safe," he whispered. "You don't ever have to go through anything like that again, not alone." Alina leaned into him, not in romance, but in trust. A trust stronger than anything fragile or fleeting. It was the moment Daniel understood that healing wasn't a destination for her. It was a journey she was allowing him and Lily to walk with her. Seasons passed. Daniel worked his way into a managerial position. Lily joined the school art club and proudly displayed her drawings on every spare wall in their apartment. Adrian became less of a billionaire figure and more like the brother Daniel never had. And Alina, she became a constant presence, her laughter filling spaces that had been empty for years. One golden evening, as the sun dipped behind the rooftops, Daniel and Alina watched Lily chase fireflies outside the apartment. In the quiet between them, Alina said softly, "You saved me that night, but I didn't understand then what you were really giving me." Daniel turned to her. "What do you mean?" "A second chance at a life I didn't think I deserved. A family I never thought I'd have. You changed everything." He shook his head. "We saved each other, Alina. You gave us a chance too." She smiled, a real smile, unshadowed and bright. "Whatever comes next," she said, "I want to face it together." And they did. Not with grandeur or perfect plans, but with steady steps, shared burdens, and the understanding that family isn't always built by blood. It's often built by the people who show up when the world starts to crack. Daniel had once believed his life would always be a series of quiet struggles. But the night he stepped forward in that restaurant, he didn't just save a woman, he opened the door to a future filled with resilience, hope, and a family far bigger and stronger than he ever imagined. And for the rest of his life, whenever he told the story, he always ended it the same way.